I wrote a radio play a while back. I called it Back Roads. It was a simple one-act thing with 3 characters, a narrator, an old man, and his granddaughter. It's all about that old man telling his granddaughter 3 fables about traveling down old, dusty, dirty, bumpy back roads. One of those fables I actually have on my YouTube channel. It's been there for a couple of years. I call it Merry Christmas. Look it up if you like. After all, Christmas is coming. There used to be a lot of old back roads back where I came from, up there in the mid-Hudson Valley of New York, in the township of Montgomery at the northern end of Orange County. It was along these old pathways where these fables and my imagination met up. I often wondered, as I traveled along them, who passed through there in the decades and centuries before me? What were their stories? What marks, tracks, what signs did they leave behind? And so I came up with this, the fable of the wise old traveler. A wise old traveler told me something a long time ago. So long ago now, I can't remember his name and barely remember his face. It's strange how time makes things fade away from sight and away from memory, but I can still remember what he said. I remember because at the time, it sounded more like a crazy riddle than a lesson about life. What did I know? I was just a kid, still wet behind the ears, with no more life experience than what I learned from the trials and errors of a sheltered childhood. I had not the slightest idea what he was talking about. He says to me, "Life goes on, and then goes on again. Life goes round, and then comes round again. The road you travel now and the road that lies ahead were traveled long ago by those who came before. They left their marks along the way as signs for you to follow. All that lies within the past awaits ahead and is yet for you to find. All that lies within the past awaits ahead and is yet for you to find." Like I said, sheltered childhood. Well, I'm no longer that kid. I have the worn-out back, bum knees, busted knuckles, and a dozen other maladies to prove it. But after all the miles and all the years, I got past that sheltered childhood thing. Oh, I've been down a road or 2. Didn't take long to figure out what that old traveler was talking about. Learned a lot about life and a lot about roads. Roads. Highways, long, straight, wide, level, or narrow rock-strewn paths that wind and twist up and over jagged hills and down through deep ravines, and every imaginable kind of thoroughfare in between. Every one a means to get from one place to another. Some lead to where you want to go. Others lead to where you do not. Some lead to where you have to go. Others lead to where you should not. Some lead to peace. Others lead to war. Some lead to success. Others lead to failure. Some lead to glory. Others lead to hell. Many are well-traveled. Others not. Some are never found. One of them is your road. Choose well. Now, as worn down as I am, I was lucky. Chose my road well. After all, I got this far. Almost didn't, though. Almost chose the wrong road. Back when I ran into the wise old traveler. Never liked to pick up strangers, no matter how desperate or earnest they might look. You never know about hitchhikers, but there he was, under the shade of a big old sugar maple, and sitting on the fence along the road. Didn't look like he really wanted a ride, just sitting there, not even looking at me. Still, for some reason, without thinking, without hesitation, I stopped, rolled down my window, and asked, "Good morning, sir. You have some place to go, or are you where you want to be?" "Well, young man," he answered, "I just might have some place to go, but not where you're going. I'd rather stay right here where I am than where you're about to go." "Is that so?" I says to him. "Then just where is it you'd be wanting to go, other than the way I'm going, or right here where you're at?" "Well," he says, "bein's you asked, I wouldn't mind going about 3 miles back up this here road you just came down. You'll find an old dirt road up there on the left. Back in there ways I'd like to go." Well, there I was, faced with what should have been a damn easy choice between following the known road I was already on, that was going someplace I knew, or turning around to take a total stranger down an old unknown road to someplace I had no idea where. Once again, without thinking, without hesitation, I opened the passenger door. "All right," I says, "climb in, let's go." As we traveled up that old road I never saw before, in the middle of my small world I thought I knew, time seemed to stand still. We could not have gone more than a couple of miles, but apparently far enough and long enough for him to tell me that crazy riddle, as well as a few other gems of wisdom I'm still trying to figure out all these years later. No sooner had he finished telling me all this, he pointed to another old dirt road coming up on the right. It had no sign on it, and I couldn't even see it until I was right at it. "That's where I'm going," he says, "right down that old dirt road." "I'll drive you down there as far as you'd like," I offered. "No need," he says, "I'll just be fine from here. You've been right kind enough to come this far, and I truly appreciate you turning back for me. Now, you don't need to go back out the way you came in here. Just a mile or so ahead, you'll come to a bridge. Cross it, and you'll see right away there's a sharp turn to the left. That'll take you way farther down the road you were on and closer to where you're heading before you got waylaid by me." Then he opened the door, climbed out, took a few steps, and looked back over his shoulder. "Thanks for the ride, my friend," he called out. "Choose your roads well." Sure enough, a few moments later, just like he told me, I was back out to the way I wanted to go and where I intended to be. Now here's the kicker. Not more than 100 yards beyond the fence where I picked up the old gentleman, there was a bridge. It was old, it was small, weight limit 5 tons. I'd probably crossed that bridge 100 times before that day. Well, just seconds after I turned back up the road with that old gentleman, a little old lady came flying down the road and almost had a heart attack when she had to slam on her brakes to stop as she watched that bridge collapse under its own weight down into the ravine 300 feet below. It took at least 6 months to build a new bridge there, and during that 6 months I had to take the road around where I dropped off that old traveler. Strange as it may seem, as hard and as often as I looked, I could never again find that old dirt road where I last saw him. I guess I was lucky that day. Or maybe, just maybe, well, not all warning signs are big and bright with bold letters and flashing lights. All along your journey down the road of life, there are signs everywhere, but sometimes you have to pay attention and look close. Could be anything. Maybe something out of place, a stone, a branch, a cloud in the sky, an unexpected phone call, a letter in the mail, an old photograph, or in another sense, maybe a story in a dusty old book sitting on a forgotten shelf, or just an old man sitting on a fence along the road. Just like he said, they left their marks along the way as signs for you to follow. All that lies within the past awaits ahead and is yet for you to find. All that lies within the past awaits ahead and is there for you to find.